So you said that you were most excited to talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So let's start with that. I want to start with a new segment that we're going to call Housewife Headlines. If you had to sum up this episode in a single attention-grabbing headline, what would that be?
We finally get answers, ? On Kyle and Mauricio.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. So do you think that we got the answers?
I mean, not really. We did get it talked about, but kind of as I was really thinking about what was the true nature of their breakup, like what happened, we didn't really, it was kind of a lot of saying nothing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm still not, I have theories for sure, but I'm hoping based on the reunion trailer that they are able to ask her more like direct questions, because I found it was kind of clear to me just how much power Kyle has on the show with how this was handled, because really just there was nothing about, the Morgan of it all or it was just a lot of kind of not giving a direct answer.
Totally. And one of the things that I had written down in my notes on this was like, Kyle is just a master of giving just enough, but not giving it all away. Like it was compelling. Like it was a compelling scene that we got with her and the family, but it's still, like you said, we don't really get any answers. And there's all sorts of questions that are still floating around. Let's talk about the storytelling on this. Dylan, anything jump out to you?
In terms of like the visuals of this episode, I just thought it was really weird to have the Kyle's white party in the SoFi Stadium and just have this like, in theory, cool. She gets to use the entire football stadium. Like that's a flex. Like, that's cool in theory, but in practice, it's like this gigantic cavernous space with like, looks like 35 people in it and like get clustered around a little stage in the middle. And it just feels like a terrible dynamic for a party. And I just like that being the setting for like the final party of the season. That's just in this huge empty space full of like empty bleachers. And it's just so not conducive to a party atmosphere. Like I feel that parties are better the more tight the space is, it's like physics, right? It's like gases have to be like under pressure for their like energy to form. Like that's why in parties people just end up clustered in the kitchen. It's like a smaller space. It just happens automatically. I don't know. It's some Newton law or something. But you've got a giant fucking stadium with a few little people in the middle. It's like there's no way the vibes are going to be good. It's just going to be like just kind of awkward for everybody. And Erika has to make her big entrance like she's like Adonis Creed or something, and it's just like it just falls fucking flat because it's like
the walk is too long. Yeah,
you're just in a giant expanse of AstroTurf with nobody in these miles of bleachers around you. And some like palm trees spray painted white. So I guess I just enjoyed that as the setting, just the awkwardness of it all.
Yeah, totally. And that walk up, like it seems so cool in theory, but because it's such a long walk up, it really nerfs the impact of that entrance, because we see like with Kyle's entrance, no one even notices when like she first steps out. And like you said, with Erika's entrance, it takes such a long time to get there that the impact of coming out of the stadium and making a grand entrance is just like, does not have this, like the explosion that you would think it would.
Especially with just like flat stadium lighting, like there's no like laser beams, there's no like towers of flames going off like AC/DC style. You got to get some of that going on if you really want to make an impact. But no, that's I put that all on Kevin Lee's feet. He fucked that up.
He's used to planning for Lisa Vanderpump, not Kyle. Okay, cut him a break. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about how this story was told and how it wrapped up the season was the Erika Jayne's journey, the way that this kind of ended, and we got it like bookended with, Erika at the very first episode, she puts out there that, she's a showman, and we haven't seen that in such a long time. And so to get some resolution at the end and the final number being, her being an actual showman and kind of landing on her feet. I thought that was a really good subtle arc. Like she wasn't front and center this for the emotional core of this season, but it was like compelling enough that it was one of the better Erika Jayne seasons that I think we've had. And so to give a nod to her actually resolving that, yes, she is indeed a showman, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, totally. I noted that too, because like you mentioned, we have that conversation about her being a showman right off the first episode of the season. So that is kind of interesting that we have her at the end. She says, like, one of the last things we have her say is like, the only happiness I have is on that stage. And I feel like a lot of the season we've been kind of trying to search for a little shred of humanity in Erika Jayne, like just kind of trying to sift for a little bit of gold dust or something. Like, is there any real humanity going on inside that woman? And I think that we kind of get the key to that is that her, like, you know, I think she's telling the truth there. Her happiness, when she feels actually like most fulfilled and present, is when she is being a showman, is when she's up on that stage. And that gives us a little something that can be like relatable and make her seem more human.
Totally. The one thing that I want to like call out in terms of missed opportunities for storytelling, Sutton totally should have entered on her horse. Like, she should have come in on her horse. She's like got this newfound independence that she's fully embracing, and it would have been great. But understandable that they wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Siobhan, did anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, talking about Erika, I kind of wanted to hear your perspectives on, I feel like for Erika, a big theme has been redemption, that she's gotten her life back together. I really liked, it kind of mirrored Sutton as well, this episode of talking about how she's the one that's gotten her life back together. Like, she's made those positive decisions. I found that to be kind of inspiring in a way, but I find that this season has been really about her redemption. So I was just curious, do you guys think that she's found redemption?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I think, like, to her it's definitely about redemption. I think that what we need to see from her, or maybe the next sort of phase of her journey, is coming to terms with the fact that she's not going to be redeemed in a lot of people's minds. And we got some like closure on Sutton being like, oh, I realized that my, like, having a man and like being in a relationship is not the most important thing to me. It's not as important as I thought it was. And I feel like that's the kind of resolution that we need to get from Erika. Like, she needs to come to terms that actually being redeemed in other people's minds is not the most important thing to her. So I think that there's more to be seen from her. Whether or not she's the like personality type that would be able to like embrace that, I think is TBD. But yeah, I'm excited to see where things go from here for Erika, because it is like a reborn Erika that we're seeing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's dig into our highlights on Beverly Hills. Siobhan, what were your highlights here?
One for sure was the Kevin Lee of it all.
Yeah.
He's somebody, I mean, he has an annoyingness, I guess, to him, but I do enjoy him just as a character. And we got to see so many pop-ups of him in the early years. So it was nice to see him come back and get some LVP shade in there from Kyle,
Yeah.
get, some voiceovers of LVP. It kind of honestly, this whole episode will be a good LVP episode, but kind of opened up the door for, like, we haven't forgotten about her.
Yeah.
So I feel like they set it up where it's, possible we could see her back.
I would love to see it. I think that the cast needs LVP or some sort of energy like her, some sort of puppet master that's pulling strings and making things happen. This was like, I liked a lot of things about this season, but as a whole, it wasn't the most engaging season of Beverly Hills that I think we've seen. So yeah, I would fully be on board to see Lisa Vanderpump come back.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like this season, I did like a lot of it. I honestly, the Denise of it all was kind of a highlight for me.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it was a bad season, but I think that it just felt like it was missing something within the dynamic within the women. And I think it is some sort of strong personality. I think it's the ghost of Lisa Rinna, or, a possible Vanderpump comeback. Kind of, I was feeling it, I felt, throughout this season, especially because Kyle was more preoccupied with her own stuff, so she wasn't kind of as organizing the women all together like she normally might be.
Yeah, and I think that if we got more out of Kyle's emotional storyline. Like if she had been the season, it felt like it was sold as, it's going to be Kyle's season and she's going to be the emotional center of this season. And I don't think that the season delivered on that. So maybe it's kind of a misalignment of my expectations going into this, because I feel like this was Sutton's season. She was the most compelling person this season for me. I thought that we saw her kind of fumble around and grow and really like step into these shoes of the new Sutton that she's got to fill. And I just thought that her arc was super rewarding, and we didn't get the emotional weight that I was expecting out of the Kyle, Mo, Morgan storyline. Dylan, what are your thoughts there?
I just want to remind everybody the time that Kevin Lee called Katie Maloney fat and then like awkwardly it was forced to apologize. That was in a Vanderpump Rules, like, I don't know, season 8 maybe or something.
You are much thinner than this. You gained a little bit of weight. You have to work on it. I am. Seriously. I'm telling you as a friend. He's out of control now. I can tell.
And then like Katie like forced Lisa to force Kevin to apologize.
Okay, yeah,
but it was like a super unsincere apology. Like it was just like did not seem to understand why somebody would want him to apologize for that.
I would never say anything like that to anyone again.
Okay. Sorry. Here for you. I'm sorry, dear. I love you, Lisa.
He's just like in his own universe of just pure aesthetics, and so yeah,
he's like a mad genius.
Yeah.
He has such great vision. Everything it always comes together so nicely. But he, like with this episode with Kyle's like, I don't want it to be all about me, and she gets there and it's a gigantic Kyle on the floor. And I mean, with LVP, it was constant. I love the banter between LVP and Kevin, but with Pandora's wedding, like it's going to be $1 million, and she's like, no, like it's not going to be. He just has no batteries.
Yeah, one of the all-time great Bravo eccentrics that we've seen. Great to see him return.
We've already touched on it, but I do like Sutton's story arc because we get the closest thing to closure, and I think that's already been brought up that we get of anybody here. Like I do like that we get to have her talking to her daughter and saying like, never lose your independence. Like that's like the kind of the key message that she settled on over the course of the season. So that feels like the storyline that's most like close to being resolved. I do think she's being like way too hesitant about dating too. What is that guy's name? Who she's like just like
Steve?
Stopped seeing after. Well, she's like he ghosted me and came back after 2 days. So I was like, we're not talking anymore. And maybe it's just like the deadbeat in me, but I'm like, he didn't ghost you if he texted you back in 2 days. He texted you late. That's not the same thing as ghosting you. Like so. But that was still like a very satisfying story arc that we got for her. To circle back to Kyle, like I pretty much agree with exactly what you said, Siobhan, in that like so. First of all, when we get like the Stand By Me, Where Are They Now text cards. Like 25 minutes into the episode, right away I'm like, fuck yeah, like that means that they're gonna have like a spicy coda they're gonna tack on the end, because there's like 20 minutes left here and they're already like pretending to end it. They're already doing like the Lord of the Rings fake ending thing. So I'm like, all right, what do we got going on? And it was very unsatisfying. We didn't get much of anything at all. We got like some like really forced awkward footage of like Kyle like pretending to, I don't know, look at her phone and blend something. And then another conversation like between her and Mo that like doesn't provide us with any details about anything. And her confessionals that also don't provide us with any details at all, really. And just kind of like, just a vague gesturing towards something being not great in the relationship, but we're also not separating, or are we? I don't know. Like it's so vague. And you already brought that up, Siobhan. We were talking about this last show, that this is kind of the downside of having these like OG power players in the show, is that you see their ability to flex their like ghost producer muscles when they don't want the information to come out. And I think that's what, like you've said, that's what we've been seeing with Kyle, and that makes for an unsatisfying ending. So I was pretty disappointed with the coda that just kind of didn't really give us much of anything at all.
Yeah, it was compelling, but completely unsatisfying. Like I thought going into this season that was going to be the starting point for this season. I thought we were going to start with a conversation like that between Mo and Kyle, and I was waiting for that the entire season, and it only happened at the last like 20 minutes of the season, as opposed to right out of the gate. It was really unsatisfying, like you said. Yeah, I completely agree. I also feel like this season left a lot on the floor. I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get more of the storyline between Crystal and her brother and Rob, because I found when we did get that, it was really compelling, and they keep cutting back to various scenes that they filmed about this, and it just never really materialized. And I feel like we could have done with a fewer scenes of Dorit and PK doing like video calls on the phone, and gotten a little bit more emotional weight out of Crystal, because I think that she has really grown as a housewife and what she's like giving. So it would have been nice to see that on screen.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We could have seen more of Crystal. We could have used her storyline a little bit more. Yeah.
Siobhan, did you have any other highlights here?
Ooh, highlights. I mean, I like seeing Erika perform. Expensive is my favorite song of her. I liked Beverly Hills is good about this in their finale episode, kind of having so many people come back in, with Cynthia Bailey and Jeff Lewis and Camille and Denise and all of that. I like kind of the throwback of the Denise. She's wearing pink and Dorit's like, I don't know if I should say something after last time. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the Sutton storyline as well that you guys were talking about, kind of that scene of her with Porter telling her, don't lose your independence. And I think that this is interesting. Like, for a woman, you think you've, landed the dream marrying this guy that has a bunch of money and you don't have to work and all of that. But just how much you kind of lose yourself in a dynamic like that. And maybe it's not this dream that you were expecting it to be. I love housewives for having these very like female centric storylines like this, kind of seeing the reality of a life like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think that there's not like a lot of housewives couldn't really pull that off in the same way that Sutton was able to. I feel like she was very, like she comes across as very, very earnest when she's having like conversations like that, and throughout everything that she does, she comes across as like very earnest. And even if like, I feel like you always can believe what is coming out of her mouth, or she comes across as just very, very truthful. And so that's why it seems so much more heartfelt. Whereas like someone like Erika Jane, when we see her scene with Kyle, I thought that there was like a lot of, she was speaking truthfully to her emotions, but it didn't really carry the same weight that, someone like Sutton having a heartfelt moment would have.
That's because Sutton's got the Texas accent, and Erika, Jane's face doesn't move except for her lips when she speaks.
It was kind of an interesting choice to have Erika be the one to have that one-on-one with Kyle.
Oh yeah.
Because I get that she's, she had a very public divorce as well. She can relate maybe more than the other ladies. But with Erika, it's kind of, she's so, I think, logic-based, really isn't in touch with her emotion. She's having to like logic out why someone would feel that way. When Sutton and Kyle, I think, have a more emotional relationship, and obviously Dorit is more like traditionally Kyle's best friend. Obviously there's trouble in paradise between the two. We'll find out at the reunion. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a bizarre choice to me to choose Erika for that moment.
Yeah, totally. Before we move on to our picks, did either of you guys have anything weird that you wanted to call out?
No, I mean, I think with the Kyle and Mauricio divorce, something I thought was weird is she was saying, or separation, she was saying there was nobody else involved, but then she says in one moment, he did something that betrayed my trust that I can't recover from.
Oh,
so I don't know. I just thought that was weird. Something that I haven't seen a lot of talk on, I wonder if some factor is the show, Mauricio's show that he's doing on Netflix, if that could be, kind of takes away from Beverly Hills, or almost like he's found like fame independent sort of a thing. I don't know. I just wondered if there's some unspoken tension regarding that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we get some sort of resolution on that, or a few more questions answered, because that was a little bit of a throwaway teaser that she gave. Let's go through our picks. We'll start with you, Siobhan.
Ooh, okay. I think Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
I think Kyle was really a star of this episode, and then maybe Sutton or Erika. I think both had good kind of wrap ups.
Great picks. Dylan, how about you?
Let's give a first star to Erika because she's the one on the stage. We'll give a second star to Sutton. Again, good conclusion to an interesting story arc. You know what? Because I'm frustrated with Kyle, I'm not going to give her a star. Let's just give a star to the ghost of Lisa Vanderpump.
Yeah,
haunting the episode.
Yeah, the ghost of Lisa Vanderpump and Kevin Lee get 2 of my stars for sure, and I have to give the other one to Sutton just because it's been her season, and she gave us great closure.